This nutshell shows both the state and structure diagrams and the derived C code for the GPIO problems listed. To obtain the most from the nutshell, it is advisable to pause the video when suggested, and try to develop your own state and structure diagrams for each problem before seeing my model solutions. Then use the diagrams to write the C code in the free Microchip Studio. And if you do find this nutshell helpful, please support the channel by liking the video and subscribing. You are to write the state machine and code for the car headlight warning system. So firstly, read the problem, pause the video, and see if you can write the pseudocode and state diagram. We can see the pseudocode written here and the state diagram showing the transitions between states. Now pause the video and see if you can write the C code from the state diagram shown. I have written the C code from the state diagram. We have defined our inputs and outputs and the state constants. We're using a switch for the state machine. We have the state beeper off, where the beeper is off, and we transition to state beeper on dependent on the car, key, door, and light switch. Similarly, we have the state beeper on, where the beeper is being active. I have written the code in Microchip Studio and downloaded it to the Mega Pro board. Looking at these switches, if we turn the light on and we have the door open and the key is out of the ignition, then the beep will go on. If I put the key back into the ignition, the beep will go off. Now solve the same problem using a structure diagram. Pause the video and write the pseudocode and the structure diagram. I have written the pseudocode and then I have written the structure diagram. While one, if the key is out of ignition and the light is on and the door is open, beeper should be on, else beeper should be off. Now pause the video and write the C code. I have written the C code. I have defined the beeper, the inputs and outputs, and then I have written the code here. Basically, if car key is out, doors open, lights on, beeper on, we pulse it, else beeper off. And I have a setup function for the data direction registers of port A and port D. I have written the code into Microchip Studio and have downloaded it to the Mega Pro board. We can see it running. If we have the light on and the door is open, key is out of the ignition, the beeper goes on. If we take the key in the ignition, the beeper goes off. Read the operation of the fridge shown here and solve the problem using a state machine. Pause the video and write the pseudocode and the state diagram. You can see my pseudocode here and my state machine. The light is off, the door is opened, the light goes on, the door is closed, light goes off. If the door is open for more than 30 seconds, the buzzer goes on and will stay on until the door is closed. Now pause the video and try and write the C code. I have written the C code from the state diagram. Here we have defined our inputs and outputs, the state variables. Scrolling down, we can see the switch statement, which is used for the state diagram, and we have the states shown here and the outputs and transition conditions. We can see the full code here. I have written it in Microchip Studio and downloaded it to the Mega Pro board. We can see it in operation. When the door is open, the light comes on. Closing the door, the light goes off. The door is open and we leave it open for too long. The buzzer comes on. If I then close the door, the light and the buzzer goes off. Now solve the same problem using a structure diagram. Pause the video and write the pseudocode and the structure diagram. I have written my pseudocode here, just describing in words what the code should do, and then I did my initial structure diagram. If the doors are open, while the doors are open, blah blah blah. If the door is closed, turn the light and buzzer off, clear time. I then reviewed that structure diagram and thought I could do it more simply. I can get rid of the if door open. So while the door's open, lights on, increment time, time's up, buzzer on, wait for the door to close. If the door's not open, we then had the light and buzzer off and clear the time. So this is a slightly simpler way than this one. So now pause the video and see if you can write the C code for this structure diagram. I have written the C code from the structure diagram. We define our inputs and outputs, and we have the while one loop, while door open, buzzer can come on. If the buzzer's on, wait for the door to close, else light off, buzzer off. So this C code here matches the structure diagram. I have written the code in Microchip Studio and downloaded it to the Mega Pro board. We can see it in operation. Door open, lights on. Door closed, lights off. Door open, and if it's open for too long, the buzzer comes on. If I close the door, the buzzer and the light go off. Read the security light operation and solve the problem using a state machine. Pause the video and write the pseudocode and the state diagram. I have reworded the problem, done a pseudocode for the state machine, and we have 3 states. Lights off. If the switch is on, light goes on. Switch is off, light goes off. If the light is off and motion detected, then the light goes on. We wait for a timeout, and then we go back to light off. Now pause and try to write the C code from the state machine. We can see the C code written from the state machine. Once again, we use the switch, and we have the cases: state light off, state light on, state motion detected. We show the outputs and the transitions between the states in the code. We can see the security light in operation. If we switches on, light goes on, switches off, light goes off. If we trigger the motion sensor, then the light goes on and then turns off. Now solve the same problem using a structure diagram. Pause the video and write the pseudocode and the structure diagram. I have reworded the problem and then written some pseudocode. From this, I have made this structure diagram. If switch is on, light is on, else light off. If motion detected, turn the light on for a set period of time. Reset the time if motion is detected. So now pause the video and try and write the C code from the structure diagram. I have written the code in Microchip Studio and downloaded it to the Mega Pro board. We can see that operating here. I turn the switch on, the light comes on. Turn the switch off, light comes off. While the switch is off, if we trigger the motion sensor, the light comes on for the set period of time.